All right, so today's video is on tips for proper squat form. I thought this would be a good time to teach this because I have been teaching this a lot in here in the clinic lately. It just seems like a lot of people coming in who work out but have some issues with their squat and just need to review some of the basics of what it should look like. And yeah, it's things like squats and deadlifts are not always super straightforward. People are usually wondering, am I doing this correctly? And so we always be happy to look at it. And so we're gonna go over just some of the basics for the squat and show you those. So the first thing we wanna start at is at the bottom, what your feet are doing. So the majority of people squat better with a slightly wider stance, right? So if you try to squat with your feet in narrow like this, it's amazing how many people we still have that feel like their feet have to be in line with their hips and to go straight back like that. That is not how typically people squat. There are a few people out there that their hips feel better that way, but it's pretty rare, I find. So always when you're doing your squats, set up a little wider than you would think, okay? And then what you'll also see is I have my toes out, okay? So you don't want to have your feet wide and then your toes in. Your feet are wide and the toes are out, just a few degrees, okay? And that puts your hips more in alignment. Your hips are more in alignment this angle than they are this angle straight ahead, okay? And that makes it a lot easier for you to go down when you're in the squat, okay? So the first thing is that foot alignment. Keep the feet a little wider and the toes out. Now I'm gonna switch to this view to show the next point on this. So then the best squat form is pretty much straight down, okay? So what I see a lot of is the two extremes of pushing the hips too far back or pushing the knees way too far forward. Pushing the knees way too far forward is for people who are trying to keep a straight back. So let's demonstrate that first, okay? So people are scared of hurting their back, rightly so, with squats. So they've read or been taught or had a physical therapist or a trainer or somebody tell them, like, make sure you keep your back straight when you're doing a squat. So in order to do that, they really emphasize a straight back. They're really arching their back and they're trying to keep almost completely upright as they go down as far as they can. And as you can see, that really pushes my knees forward, okay? So that really straight back, one, makes you work way harder in your back than you need to. And then two, it pushes your knees really far out past the toes, right? Because that's really the only way to keep a straight back is to go onto the knees forward, sometimes even onto the toes, okay? So that's the one extreme is don't try to keep your back so straight that you're pushing way forward with your knees, okay? Now, the other extreme is people have been told to make sure their knees don't go past the toes and to push their butt way back as far as they can. A lot of times the cue is pretend you're sitting on a toilet, push your hips behind you as far as you can, try to keep your knees from going forward at all. And that sort of looks like this. It's like really far back like that and then coming up like this, okay? Now, the downside to that is, and I'll just sit down to show you, is like if I'm pushing my hips really far back, then in order to maintain balance, I really have to be bent forward to do that, right? I really have to bend at my hips and my back forward. And obviously, the more you go up in weight with a squat, this is what's going to hurt your back. So does sitting with your hips further back like this and doing a squat take some pressure off of your knees? Yeah, it does a little bit, but at risk of your back, which is a bigger problem, okay? So the happy medium is to go sort of straight down, and I think the best cue for this is, I don't know, there's a lot of cues, but one I like to give is try to bring your knees just to the end of the foot. So sometimes I'll take this pole with my patient and just put it here, and you want to go down in this position, right? So I'm a little bit forward, my knees are a little bit forward too, but I'm not this extreme and I'm not this extreme, okay? So the happy medium, the happy middle is basically where you want it to be, right? Just right here, right? In this position. And a lot of times in this position, the bar will be kind of in the middle of the feet, right? That's kind of how you know you're in a good position if you were going to look, from the side and be able to look in a mirror. It's like, does the bar fall in the middle of my foot? That's sort of the happy medium where you want to be, okay? So if you're too far back, then that bar's coming forward. If you're too forward like this, the bar's coming back. That bar should be in the middle of the feet, okay? Now, switching back to this view of the squat, when I give this cue to have the knees meet the pole at the end of the toe, another thing people need to do when they squat is to push their knees away from each other, right? So you wouldn't want to set up in this position, have your feet a little wider, your toes out, and then have your knees come in. This is actually kind of a weak position for a squat anyway. It means you really lack a lot of strength in your glutes and your hips to be able to maintain that depth of squat as you go down. And so you want to be putting that pole there and aiming towards the knee touching the pole. That shows you that you can then actually get your knees out, right? And that's the position it should be. Again, it lines up better this way. Now, if you have a hard time sometimes with getting that middle position, right? Meaning a lot of times people who have poor ankle mobility, what they're going to do is they're going to want to bias more towards this one because they don't have to go into as much ankle dorsiflexion this way to get down into the squat. So putting a little pad, like the little 5-pound plates underneath the heels, or even like a little wedge, is a way to help you if you find that to be the problem, okay? So, yeah, that's it. Those are the basics of proper squat form, right? Those are the basics of the setup, right? And just being able to do that. Now, these tips are good for whether you're doing a barbell squat, right? Or if you're even doing something with like a goblet squat in front. Same thing applies, right? Just kind of going straight down, pushing the knees apart, going out to the side is key, okay? So if you're new to squatting, hopefully you found this video. Hopefully it cleared up just a few things for you, but just follow these basic tips as far as when you're getting ready to squat for the first time, or if you've been squatting for a while and just wondering if you're doing it correctly. And yeah, hopefully it helps you a lot. So if you have any questions, please comment below, and thanks for watching. We'll talk to you again soon.